Hello, everyone. Rare Model Reviews here, and today we've got ourselves a high grade, but this thing feels like it's maybe even bigger than the master grade. I don't know, but we are going to go ahead and open this thing up, and I can also confirm that this is going to be a USA Gundam Store unboxing. So shout out to JC for packing this up for me. So this, I'm pretty sure they had this exact same little insert card for a while now. So I'm going to say the same thing I always say. Don't buy that. It's controversial. I don't know what the heck this is. Metal Gear Rex, tempting. Not too interested in the super deformed master grade stuff, and I may or may not own this. All right. So I don't think there's anything else in here. Actually, no, there is a sticker. Let's see it. Oh, nice. So this is for the Deep Striker. I'm pretty sure I have 2 of these now, so I can actually go ahead put that on my desk. So, depending on how fast I unbox this thing, you'll probably know what this is already. At this point, I'm just being extra. But if past me did not struggle to unbox this thing in a decent fashion, then this is going to be a mystery unboxing. There's going to be something else I'm going to go ahead and put into this unboxing as well. So voila, we have the high grade Elysius. So this is of course going to be from the Hathaway, what was it, Nymph of Circe? I forget what the name of the new one's called. I'm actually guilty of not catching this thing in the theaters because it was when I was working, but eventually I ended up watching this post-release. So for those of you who do not know, this is actually the master grade new Gundam with some sort of prototype Penelope armor attached to it. So this thing is extremely extremely intricate, even more so than the high grade of the Penelope was. So this is definitely going to be a project. That being said, I am definitely going to move this to the top of my list of kits to build. I got one thing I want to build ahead of it, then I'll go ahead and jump into this thing's build. So I actually can't wait to build this thing. Now, I've already been spoiled, and I was told this thing got its butt kicked in the movie, which I'm not surprised to hear. But regardless, I still think it looks cool, so that's all I need to buy something looking cool. So let's go ahead and open this thing up and see what's in this giant box. So this thing is pretty much like building a mobile armor, a high-grade mobile armor, which I suppose it technically is. So you can tell something has a lot of parts where it's got this like separate little cardboard cutouts to separate things. So I'm going to assume the right side is going to be the pieces for the new Gundam, and then the left is going to be for the Elysius. Nope, it's just random scattered parts because I can see the little nose cone for the Elysius right now. Now, if it were me packaging this stuff together, that's how I would have probably set it up, but I suppose in the grand scheme of things it doesn't matter because, I mean, you should probably be building all of this, right? So that's actually very cool. This thing comes with a base to hold this thing, which makes sense because, let's be honest, this thing's probably not going to be able to do much but stand still, if you could even do that, how big this thing is. So this thing has a very interesting shade of gray here. It's kind of like an off-white type gray. I barely want to call it a light gray because it doesn't quite feel right. Decent bit of stickers here. Got this mustard yellow for some of the pieces around it. I'm going to assume this thing is completely original and probably doesn't reuse any parts from anything else whatsoever. I will find out when I start looking at these runners and if I see any previous dates on them. So far, the ones I'm looking at say January 2025. Which this thing, I don't believe this thing released in January though, right? This thing should have been a 2026 release. I could be wrong though. Maybe released in Japan a little earlier or something. But regardless, Some whites here. It's grayish, bluish color there for, it looks like that's going to be the Gundam's chest. Some clear blue parts. I'm pretty sure that's going to be for the nose cone. Yellow part, again, probably for the nose cone. Some whites. This is definitely going to be for the Elysius. So it's very cool. This thing's definitely getting me excited just from looking at it. And if I'm not mistaken, I think these are master grade scale beam sabers. Yep, they are. So that's not surprising to see. So I'm going to go ahead and put all this stuff back in the box, and then we're going to look at the manual. All right, so get into the manual here. Typical high grade fashion. Show all the stats of this thing. This thing is a whopping 26.7 meters. So that is like, what, 8 meters taller than the standard size mobile suit. And I'm sure that's just for the new Gundam itself. It's probably not even for the Elysius. I could be wrong. Nah, it's got to be for Elysius. I don't think the new Gundam's that tall. I think it's probably like maybe 19, 20 meters. But actually, it has interesting here. It has the stats for what the mass production new types armor is, and then the Elysius' armor, as well as all its armaments and whatnot here. And this thing, of course, is decked out. So we're getting into the runners itself here. And I do not see any X's. Oh, no, I see one X up top, two X's there. So that's 3 from the D runner there. So it looks like just the D runner is the only thing that may have been reused for something else, because there's a few parts X'd out, but everything else looks like you're going to be using everything. Oh, nope, a couple parts here. So yeah, this thing might have reused something from something else. Either that or there's going to be another release for this thing. And that's what they want you to use some of those extra runners for. Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, I believe this is the Penelope's beam rifle. I have to look at the Penelope's and compare it, which is actually what I'll definitely be bringing this thing out for with the review. Speaking of which, I never actually reviewed the Penelope. I know why I didn't, though. It's because that thing's transformation was a pain in the butt. So at the time, I didn't have any editing software. And I kept pushing that thing back until eventually I went on my hiatus. So I definitely probably would have to review that Penelope before I review this thing. So around the time I build this thing, I'll definitely get a review out for it. Then follow up with this review. Because I did the Z Gundams, because the Z Gundam wasn't that hard to transform. It's actually easier than I remember the first time around. Mainly because, of course, I did it once at that point. So I got the trial and error of it out. But this is actually something that a lot of people didn't think they'd actually make the mass-produced new Gundam. Which is, speaking of which, I think they should definitely do just a mass-produced new Gundam. Even if it's just a P Bandai thing. Because it's kind of a waste to throw this thing with this $150 release, which, let's be honest, how big this thing is going to be on a limited production, like most of the master grade stuff is. Like the Second Gundam Mark II, me saying, they're gonna sell that thing for a while. I didn't buy it when they first put out. Now that thing's out of print, so I'm gonna have to wait for them to put it back into production or something to get it. And I really wanted that Mark II because I wanted them to make them Psycho Gundam Mark II for a long time, and I was shocked when they actually did it. But overall, look at this thing's construction. This is what I thought. It's just a bunch of big parts, really. It's nothing too complicated. So, especially with the new Gundam itself, again, nothing fancy. I noticed when I was skimming through this page. So, if you're up for a bigger project, even with limited experience, I'm sure you'll still be able to build this thing just fine. This thing's got a very interesting process on how to add the armor to it. It looks like it's a bit of a parts former too, because as you can see here, you had to take off the normal crotch and put on a special crotch piece here to attach to the legs, and then you shove that onto the Gundam itself, all the attachments onto it. Very interesting thing how they have the beam sabers set up here. Is that kind of set up in it's cannon firing mode, because the mass-produced new Gundam uses the W Zeta style beam sabers. What do they call it? Mega beam sabers. So of course that's some of the other kits that comes with it. The Type 00, which I may or may not have purchased. There's a second version of the Z Gundam that I passed up on because the only thing that was really different was the shield, and the face looks more Gundam-like, so I couldn't justify getting that. especially after spending all this money on this thing. Plus, they're doing a a Master Grade Extreme of the Z Gundam, which I'm probably going to have to buy just because I'm curious to see what's different between that and the high grade. But we of course have some more stats on pilot lane aim and mobile suit itself. So hopefully I got this thing to focus enough for you to be able to pause it and look at that stuff. So overall, it looks like just like transforming this thing is more complicated than actually building it. A lot of this the building construction stuff doesn't look too bad. Again, mostly just big parts. Not really anything teeny tiny in my opinion. A lot of teeny tiny multiple parts is more complicated than just having to slap a bunch of big parts together. I can definitely say this thing is getting up to around 40 pages, so it's in no means going to be a quick build, but I don't think it's going to be a hard build is what I'm getting at. So again, overall, I can't wait to knock this thing out. I've built plenty of giant things like this already, so the hardest part about this is going to be finding out where the heck I'm going to be able to even store this thing. Maybe this thing might be just big enough to fit next to Z and the Penelope on my shelf, but we'll find out because I don't know. This thing's a little bit more vertical with these shelf nozzles it has attached. And this thing also can transform. Hopefully its transformation, putting on the armor on and off is as complicated as the Penelope's, because I haven't changed that thing back into the Odysseus in a while just because how big and complicated that thing is. But again, this thing's definitely a parts former to transform it. I'm seeing plenty of things telling you to take stuff apart and whatnot. It looks like they have a process on how to change this thing back to the Gundam as well. So very cool here. I definitely can't wait to look at this thing. So I can honestly say I'm more excited to look at the mass-produced new Gundam than the actual Odysseus itself. But that's going to do it for this. And you know what? I have a little bit of time. This is actually supposed to be from another unboxing, but you know what? I think I could squeeze one more in. So this is, of course, going to be the optional parts set 14, and that's going to be from the Gun Barrel Striker. So this is something I've been looking at for a minute, and I finally got around to pick it up, mainly because it was on sale. It's already super cheap as is, but it being on sale made it too hard for me to continue to pass up on. So I don't have a high-grade Strike Gundam. However, I do have the whatchamacallit, shoot, he's even right here. The daggers, both the Strike Dagger and the Dagger L. So I'm going to actually end up just using the part set for those things. Although, as you've seen around the box, you can use these on just about anything that has the means to attach onto these parts. So again, this is why I threw this thing in here real quick, because I knew this would be super quick to build. It's got like, what's this, 3 runners. I'm tempted to actually build this thing right now after this review, just because how quick this is going to be. When they say 30-minute missions, they mean it's going to take 30 minutes to build this thing. So I already have a the Mobius Zero, but this is the Gun Barrel Striker, so slightly different. For example, this thing has a Gatling gun instead of just a beam cannon, but besides that, it's basically the same thing. But nonetheless, this thing can actually attach to a high grade, whereas the Zero I have is actually a Tamashii Nations figure, so it's totally different. Plus, I actually get to build this thing. So I'm also a big fan of the Gun Barrel, so I had to pick up the alternate version of the Mobius Zero here. We call this thing the Mobius 1. But that's going to do it for this here. I finally managed to do an unboxing in under 15 minutes. So before I start yapping and get it over 15 minutes, so thank you guys all so much for watching. I finally put out another review. That was the SH Figuarts review for Cell's First Form. And I promise it won't be too long before I get a model kit review out as well. So if you guys enjoyed this video, you know what to do. and stay tuned for the next video and most definitely review.